Well, hello everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. So today I am just going to talk a little bit about the difference between bringing your flowers home from the store and putting them and arranging them just in a vase of water, and the benefits of using foam in your vase. Gives you a little more creativity. You can do more arrangement styles in foam than you can in a vase. So some of the things that you would use in a vase of water to arrange your flowers, instead of just putting the flowers in and letting them just kind of drop where they may, you can take a wad of chicken wire, and I just want to show you that it's not that easy to use chicken wire, because you literally have to clip every little piece to get your square. So it's not real convenient. It does work. And then I'll show you. You cut off your little square, and then all you would do is you would just roll this up into a ball, and you just want to have a couple layers for your stems to poke through. So you want it to kind of be a ball. You have to be very careful because the little ends are very sharp. So you're basically making like a floral frog, and then you would put that in your vase, and you would tape it in place with anchor tape, a couple of places. And then you would fill that with water. And the arrangement would be okay. Let's play around with this a minute. You still have options. You still have places that will hold your stems vertical. You might have one off to the side, and you can wiggle it through the chicken wire, and you can, let's see, not as easy, but you can get some dimension in there. You can get a little bit of a style. It's not all straight vertical stems. You can get a little angle, so you can have a little fun with the chicken wire, I guess. Get a little creative. The problem with chicken wire is you don't always have the exact space that you want to put your flowers. You kind of have to wiggle them around a little bit more. It kind of tears up your flowers a little bit. So I'm just trying to show you a quick arrangement in the vase, and you'll see what I mean about not exactly being able to put every stem where you want. And it fills up quick. With the foam, you always have places to put the foam or put the stem. It doesn't matter where you try to put it in, it's going to go right in for you. So I'm just doing this real quick. The other one that I do, I'll instruct a little more, but I just want this as the alternate way. And I want you guys to see how much I struggle trying to put this together. You can get rid of all your rose leaves too, but like I said, I'll do a better instruction when I do the actual project. I just wanted to show you this option. but it's not the best option. There's an easier way with foam. Yeah, see, I'm already running out of spots. So anyway, I think you kind of get the idea. So another thing that you can do besides chicken wire, there's a it's called a floral frog, and or a floral pin frog, you can call it, which looks like this. So it's just a little flat disc with a bunch of needle in it. And you would put that down in the base of your vase. And then when your stems go down in the bottom of the vase and hit it, they kind of stay in place. But as you can see with this arrangement, everything is coming from the top of the vase and coming up and out. You really can't do much more than that when you're wanting all your stems to be down in the water. They have to go straight down in the container to be able to hit water. So all you have is a vertical arrangement. Then I'm going to show you in just a second. So basically that. I mean, it's pretty, it does the job, right? It's a beautiful arrangement, and you can put it on your table and it would be attractive and all that. But like I said, everything is from the top of the vase, and then you would want to cover up your tape too. You don't want that to show. Everything is up from the top of the vase. So keep that in mind. Now we're going to play around with the real project. So for our project, you're going to need a container of water. This is this is just a shoe container. So it's a container that you would find storage to store your shoes in, the dollar store, Walmart, wherever. It's just a good size for our brick. You're going to need something to cut the WetFōM. So you're going to need a brick of our WetFōM. This is about 3 by 4 by 9 inches. It's our Artesia WetFōM. So you're going to need a brick of that for our project today. The water, a tray to cut your WetFōM on, only because it's going to leak a little bit when you cut it. So you'll want something to cut it on. A towel to clean up your mess. We're going to need a knife. So if you're going to use a kitchen knife, just don't put it back in the kitchen. Just use it as your WetFōM knife. But any straight edge, thin blade knife will work. Or we found that palette knives work actually really nice to cut our foam because they are really thin. So if you have a paint palette knife, you could use that. You'll need some clippers for your flowers. Any floral clippers will work, or knife if you're familiar with using a knife. Some anchor tape, and this is just to tape your foam into your vase if you want a little more security. That might be it for tools. And then for flowers, I just said, I think in the class details, I think I just said a mixed bouquet, and then to get some Alstroemeria for some filler for your arrangement. And one thing about grocery store flowers or flower bouquets, when you buy a mixed bouquet, they don't always have a lot of green in them. So a lot of times when you start out with a foam project, you would green your foam and kind of conceal it before you start putting your flowers in. And that's why I wanted to use a mixed bouquet, because you can't really do that with the mixed bouquet. You kind of have to just conceal it with your flowers. So that's what I'm going to try to do today for you. But there's always the option too of going to your local florist and asking them for like baker fern or ruscus or eucalyptus. Any of those greens would work nice for concealing the foam a little bit. So with all your flowers, you get a little flower packet in every bouquet. And you just really want to make sure that you use this when you soak your foam or in your vase of flowers. You want to use this. It gives your flowers not only food, but it helps the flowers take up the water, and it keeps bacteria out of your brick and out of your water. So it does a lot of good things, flower food. So to soak your brick, you're going to need, you want your water to be like about 100 degrees. They say like bath water, basically. And flowers, like they take up warm water easier than cold water. So, and also the flower food dissolves nicer in warm water. So you're just going to put that in there. And your flower food will tell you how much water, like this is for 1 quart. I think there's a little more water than that in here, but just read your packet. And another thing, I'm not going to use a full brick for this vase today. So instead of soaking this whole brick, I'm going to cut off what I don't need, and that way you can save that extra little piece for a future project. Because once it's wet, you can't reuse it. So I'm going to cut off about 1/3 of this brick. And it cuts so nice. So then you can save this little piece for a future project. All right, so my food's all mixed up in there. And when you soak foam, you want to float soak it. And that's just what it is. You lay it on top and you let it float. And it's just gonna soak or sink on its own. And what it's doing is it's pushing water up from the bottom of the brick, and it's pushing all the air out the top of the brick. So it's getting completely soaked. If I was to like push it under and then pull it out, it's gonna look like it's all wet, but the inside is gonna have a little, watch, you can see it go, choop, soaked. So the inside would have a little dry spot if I was to just dunk it in there and pull it out real quick. And you don't want any dry spots in your brick, because then your flowers are not getting water. I'm going to set this on our tray. Get rid of our water. So to figure out how much foam I needed, I figured about how far it was gonna fit down into the vase, which is about, it'll probably sit down about that far before it starts tapering in. And then I wanted about 2 inches above the lip of the vase. So that's how I figured out how much foam I needed for this. Now, to figure out how to taper it into the vase, I'm just gonna set it in there until I get little grooves on every corner. And you kind of see how it rounded the corners. Then I can just go in with my knife and start about 2 inches up and just cut that corner, like bevel it off at an angle. And you're going to do that on all 4 corners. And this is just going to fit it into the taper of that vase for you. You're going to set it down and just lightly push until it's about 2 inches from the top, about right there. And then another thing that helps when you're designing into foam is to get rid of the sharp corners. That way when you're poking into it, you're not like slipping through a corner. Just gives you a larger surface. So if you just take your knife and go at an angle and just bevel all those top corners off the foam. Let me see if I can do it this way, if you can see better. So I'm just taking those corners off, and that's giving you all that surface instead of this little edge. Just like that. Now you have kind of a rounded top to insert your flowers into. All right. So we saw how you can do this, this upright arrangement, just in the vase, coming out of the vase. It's beautiful, it's fine, it's what you do. But if you want to have a little fun with the foam, not sure. I didn't get to do this ahead of time, so I don't know how it's going to look, but we'll see. We'll make it work. So I'm just taping this in here. This foam is far enough down into this vase. I really don't think it would come out, but if it did tip over, you know, you don't want your whole arrangement to go all over the place. So it's always a good idea to just snug it in there with some tape. So let's see. I think I'm gonna start. I've only got 3 lilies. I didn't have a lot of good luck finding lilies at our local grocer this time. So I only have 3. Another thing about lilies is you can take out this pollen and it won't get all over your counter when your lilies start to die. So I just put my hand in there, kind of grab all those little things and just take them all out at once. Because they are very messy and they stain. So I would get rid of them if I was going to put them on my table. And they do kind of dust up the blossoms a little bit, but not too bad. So I think what I will start with, I'm going to actually do I'm going to do a horizontal centerpiece because it's something that you can't do with a vase of water. So for the first stem, I'm going to get my height and how high I want my arrangement to be. And because this is going to be long, I'm not going to make it real high. So I'm going to go about 6 inches-ish from the top, 5 inches, something like that from the top of the vase. And I'm going to put that one right in the center, and that's going to be my height for this centerpiece. And then my next stems will be the width of my centerpiece. So I'm going to say, I have a better one. All right, I'm going to use this one. And if these leaves on here are a little not great, just get rid of them. They're not going to get any better. So for this one, because I'm doing the length, the horizontal, normally you would go 1.5 times the height of the container, but because I'm doing a horizontal, I'm going to do 1.5 times, but I'm going to do it for the width. So I'm going to say about right there. And cut your stems at an angle, and it does help poke them into the foam. So that right there is something that you can't do. You can't get a sideways stem in a vase of water. All right, and then this one, I'm going to do the same width, or the same length to get the same on each side. So I'll put this one over here. All right, and then I'm going to put two rather short on either side. And that's going to get our depth a little less. And, you know, I'm doing this horizontal, low and horizontal, but you could do it diagonal. So you could have this side come up this way, and this one could actually go up into the foam and hang down. So there's just so much more you can be much more creative, I guess, if you're designing into foam. Okay, and that one's going to go right on that side. So now I have kind of this shape. So I have my height and my width, and then how deep it's going to be. And then you want to think too where you're putting the arrangement. So if this one I'm doing kind of for like a table. So if you're sitting at your table, you want to be able to see the guest on the other side of the table. You don't want to be looking through a plant. So that's why I'm keeping this kind of low. All right, and these big guys, I think I'm just going to put this one that's a little bit smaller right in the middle. Rather short.
Now, Dondi,
Yes.
two things. One, someone would love to see the overhead view again, to
Oh,
see all of those angles. Yeah, and then they were also wondering, how long will the foam stay wet for?
so usually you're going to want to water your foam like every couple days. And that'll keep it nice and wet, nice and hydrated. All right, this guy is going to go right in the middle with these, and it's going to go right down low, right to the top of the foam. And we're going to stick one. This one's a beast. Maybe I'm going to use one of these separate. I'm going to cut off this big guy. And that's another thing about the foam is you don't have to use this whole great big piece, because you can just use the one blossom into the foam where you wouldn't be able to reach water with the vase of water. So this one I'm going at an angle, so between your top one and your other horizontal one, I'm just putting that right in between those two. There we go. And then I'm going to use this last one on this other side. That's another thing to remember when you're designing, is if you do something on one side, do it on the other. And that keeps everything symmetrical.
Now, Dondi, you are putting in thicker stemmed flowers into this right now, but someone is wondering if the foam is soft enough to be able to add small stemmed florals and weaker stemmed florals, such as baby's breath.
Absolutely. That's the beauty about our floral foam, is it accepts all different kinds of stems. Thin, hollow stems, very thick, woody, hardy stems. Yeah, you're pretty much good with anything you want to use in there. All right, so let's play around with this purple in there, and I only have 3. So I think what I'll do is one kind of coming out at an angle on that corner. Shorter, maybe about 4 inches or so. And I'm just going to pop that right into that corner of the foam, kind of pointing out that way. And then remember, because I did that over there, I want to have this one over here in the opposite direction. I'm going to put that right in that corner. And then this guy, I think we'll just put in the middle. This last purple. So you'll have kind of a diagonal line of the purple. And I'll tuck him in kind of low, maybe. So another thing, you saw that I just pulled that back out. Now I wouldn't be able to put that right back in that same hole and just set it there. You want to make sure that every stem that you put in has its own hole. And if you put it down too far and you go, oh shoot, I don't want it that far, I want to pull it back out. Well, you can't, because then you have an air pocket from where the hole is to where you pulled the stem up. So it's not getting any water to drink. So you just have to make sure once you put that flower in, it's committed. Or if you wanted a little, if I wanted to take this out and put it a little higher, I would take it out and put it in a different hole. All right, now I have 3 little yellow ones. And what I'm gonna do with the yellow is I'm gonna do the opposite that I did with the lavender. So I'm gonna put this, well, I'll show you out here in this corner and let it be about there. And then same thing. I'm getting rid of all these rose leaves because they don't really last anyway, and they're usually not very pretty. All right, and then this guy I'm gonna put on this side. And then we'll drop this one in the middle. Kind of low.
Now, sorry, Dondi, someone is just wondering, they have a question about making a pre-hole before you add the flower. Would that be a good idea or no?
No, no, you want your stem to go directly into the foam. And what that's doing is when you push your foam in, it pushes through, or your stem in, it pushes through the foam, and then where it lands, it's touching foam, right? So if you were to pre-drill a hole, you don't know when your stem is touching foam. So you want a fresh hole with your stem right into the foam. It's the best way to do it. All right, so these guys, I'm going to use this kind of as filler. So I'm just going to cut these off, and these are going to be, some of them are going to be quite short and deep into there. And what that does is when you're looking into the arrangement, you see the top of that blossom instead of the top of the foam. And I'm not going to guarantee that I'm going to cover all this foam up, but I'm sure going to try. So the other thing that you can do with the foam that's kind of fun is you can actually turn your stem almost upside down. I mean, it depends on how tall your stem is, but see how you can make that flower come right down kind of almost over the edge of the pot by turning it and doing it like inverting the stem up into the foam instead of down into the foam. You can get that lower angle like that. So that's all I'm doing with these guys, is just using them to kind of conceal the foam here and there. And this is what you would do generally with the greens. You would go around and tuck your greens in, either your fern or your ruscus or baby's breath or whatever it might be. You would go through and cover all your foam. But like I said, not all grocery bouquets come with a great, nice assortment of greenery. They come with very little, actually. So I started the purple on that side, and you can see where you did see foam over there. is all concealed. But that's all you're gonna do is just look where you see foam and just poke that flower in until it's hidden. I think this is broke. Yeah, so this could be, say if you had, maybe you have a hallway table and you have a mirror sitting on the table and you want a arrangement that will kind of frame that mirror. So you could take this arrangement, if your mirror is here, you could do a right angle arrangement in our foam. So you could do it so it's straight down this way and then straight out this way, but there's nothing over here. And that would be like a frame for around your mirror or around your picture if you did a right angle arrangement. Or maybe you want one on each side. You could do this right angle this way and then the other right angle the opposite way, and that would be a real nice frame for a family picture or a however. Like I said, this one's for like if you're having a dinner party and you want people to be able to sit and look across the table without too much interference. This long and low, they call it, is a good option for that. And two, when you're designing, you don't want everything, all the flowers to be all at the same level, at the same, like out to the surface. You'll see when, if I can show you, but you can see how I have the rose down deep in. A lot of these purple ones are down deep in, and that gives you a lot of dimension, and it just makes it more interesting. Little depth. So another thing about our foam is, what if you have a glass vase? You don't really want to put our foam in a glass vase and have it, see the green foam through the vase. So that's kind of another cool thing about our foam is you can still use it in a glass vase. You would just wrap it with like foliage leaves, like oh, let's see, what was it? Aspidistra leaves are really good for wrapping foam. They're long, slender leaves. You can get them fresh from your local florist, or I did see that Michael's online has Aspidistra. It's like a ribbon, so it's like plastic leaf, and that would work really good for wrapping it around. You could actually pin it to the brick of foam before you add the foam to the container. And use it in glass, and you'd never know the foam was in there. You can put our foam in the glass vase and then pour, Michael's has a slew of vase filler. So you could put it in a glass vase, like a vase that's a little bit bigger than the brick of foam, and just pour vase filler all the way around in between the vase and the foam brick. Pour vase filler all around, and that would conceal it in there. So I'm letting a few of these purple ones kind of poke out here and there, just to give a little dimension and get that purple color up top a little bit. But I'm doing okay. I think I'm getting all the foam covered. So yeah, so this is all I wanted to show you is that the beauty of having foam is that you can create different designs, different styles of arrangements.
Now, what kind of flowers are those purple flowers?
These are just little mums, but they're dyed. So they didn't actually come this color. I think it even said on the packet that they were dyed this pretty blue, which is another thing. Flowers do spray pretty nice. They have floral spray out there that it's like paint, but it's for florals. And it does work really nice. You have to be gentle and you have to do it very lightly. You don't want to douse the flowers with it. So you would just do little spritz and kind of let it dry and then do a little more until you get the color that you want. But flowers do with the right kind of paint, they do paint really nice. I know they do that a lot with hydrangea. You see those really pretty, brilliant blue hydrangea are a lot of times painted.
And now you need a special kind of dye to do that, correct?
You know, I don't know about the dye. That's something they do at the flower farms before you even see them at the grocery. But I mean, I've personally used Design Master spray, and that's a floral spray. It's in an aerosol can. Like I said, you just have to hold it back that 14 to 12 to 14 inches and just spray real light. Don't try to get a heavy coat all at once. So yeah, so another thing with the little guy that's left. So you could put this actually in just a little low vase like this. Again, you would just, you know, bevel the corners and fit it in there. And then bevel your corners around it. And then if you did, I don't have any extra flowers, but this would be a really cute little accent piece to your centerpiece. You could have it over on your dessert table, or you could have it, you know, as people walk in or whatever, but it would make a cute little fun accent piece to your centerpiece.
Everyone's loving the colors. They say it's beautiful.
Oh, good, good. So this is what I wanted to show you. That's why I threw this one together really quick at the start. I just wanted to show you what a difference. Where's this one? There we go. What a difference you can make with the foam. And like I said, I decided to do this one low and wide, but I mean, you could do an angle, like the right angle that I said. There's just so many things that you can do with our foam. Makes it a little easier to arrange in. Is there anything else that I missed, or are there any further questions today? I don't.
Someone would like to know what that base filler is made out of again. It is our wet foam only, correct? The only thing we use inside our vase is the wet foam.
The actual project that we made is, yes, there's just one brick of, well, actually it's 2/3 of a full brick of foam in here. I could probably show them real quick. Do you want me to show you fill in the vase again? Maybe. I have an extra brick of foam. Can show that.
Yeah, sure. They would love to see that. Just one more time.
We can get rid of these. All right, so to fill this vase, to figure out, and this is just our standard brick, so it is about 3 inches, 3 inches by 4 inches by 9 inches is about how tall, how big they are, of our Artesia wet foam. And then to get my height, I just figured how far I wanted it to go down into the vase, which is about where it starts to taper. And then I wanted a good 2 inches above the vase to insert my horizontal stems. So I just cut a third, which is about a third because it's about 3 inches. I'm cutting off the end here. And then cutting it dry, I can now save this extra little piece rather than soaking the whole brick, because once it's soaked, you can't reuse it. So if you're not going to use it, just leave it dry. Then to figure out how, that tape is bugging me. Sorry. Then to figure out how much you need to bevel it, I just gently push it into the vase, and then you can see kind of how much you need to take off. So then take your corners and just bevel down all those corners. So that's going to taper it into your vase. You're going to push it down into about 2 inches from the top. And then to make it easier to arrange into, I just like to, well, most florists like to bevel these edges. And then you're not poking into this hard, you're not poking into this, trying to get a stem into this little corner. You have this nice surface, larger surface to stick your stem into. So that's about it. 2/3 of a brick, put it in there, and then you would use your anchor tape to tape it in. Of course, you're going to soak it first before you put it in the vase. And then, yeah, I think that's about it.
And how many arrangements did you grab to the store from the store to make this? Was this just one bouquet? Was this two?
Well, that was the problem this time. When I went to the store, they actually didn't have a bouquet with lilies in it. Usually every time I go, there's lilies, and I did find a couple, but they didn't look the greatest. And I needed 2 of the same so that I could show you guys, the difference between in foam and not in foam. But usually a good sized mixed bouquet is a I think with the roses, the mums, and the lilies is about a bouquet. And then I added extra Alstroemeria because I knew I wouldn't have enough filler. So it's actually 2 bouquets, I would say.
And as long as you're keeping it watered every 2 to 3 days, how long will this arrangement last?
So it's gonna last you, and it's gonna depend too on the quality of the flowers and how old the flowers are when you got them, but should last about a week. I mean, you get your flowers home right away and make sure that you put them in clean water with your flower food. And before you do that, cut about a 1/2 inch of that stem. As soon as you take them out of the plastic and go to put them in the water, right before you plunge them in the water, cut about a 1/2 inch off that stem at an angle and put them in that flower food. And that's going to perk them up, and it's going to give them some food, and it's going to give them some life, and it'll help them last a little longer. It'll preserve them a little longer. Another reason to cut them at that angle, I know I said that a couple times while I was cutting them, is if you are using them in water in a vase, it's going to keep that stem from sitting flat on the bottom of the vase, and then it can't really drink up water. where if you cut it at that angle, it has that open side cut, so it can still drink water even if it's sitting on the bottom of the vase. So yeah, water it every couple days. Another thing to keep them a little fresher longer would be to keep it out of direct sunlight. Direct sunlight's gonna wilt it and make it not last so long. Keep it away from either heat vents. You don't want your heat vent blowing directly on it. And you don't really want your air conditioner vent blowing directly on it. All of those things can make it die a little sooner. So another crazy thing is fresh fruit. Fresh fruit gives off gases that will make flowers wilt quicker. So so don't put your arrangement by your bowl of fresh fruit. But I guess if there are no further questions, I don't know if I don't know what this is gonna look like, but I'll bring it back out after I got it all in there. This is the mangled chicken wire. Looks like one fell out. But just to show you the difference, a lot more opportunity, I think, for design styles is all with our floral foam. All right, everyone. If there are any other questions, Grace? All right, well, I think that's it for today then. Thank you so much for showing or for watching us. I hope you learned a few things, and we'll see you next time.